Perceived Pressure tells stories in the land of the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation and the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. We recognise that their sovereignty has never been ceded. We recognise that First Nations Australians were the original storytellers of this land and acknowledge the profound and ongoing contributions of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people to our collective sporting fabric.
Grace Beasley, welcome to Perceived Pressure.
Thank you for having me.
How are you feeling?
Yeah, I feel good. Busy day.
Busy day.
Happy to be here.
Awesome. So you're a professional footballer, AFLW, Melbourne Demons, and you've just come off the back of a pretty serious injury, arguably one of the most serious injuries in sport. How is your body feeling?
Body feels great. I did my ACL playing footy. It was definitely a hard rehab, but I've passed all my markers, everything completely healthy now, and excited for the upcoming season.
What date did you do your ACL? And then sort of what was the timeline for your recovery?
Yeah, so I had surgery on the 7th of October. I did my...
In 2020?
In 2024.
Yeah.
2025. 2024.
We're currently in 2026.
2024, year recovery.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's already been that long.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's wild.
So 7th of October, I had the surgery. About a month before that, I did my ACL. Try not to think back to the date too much. But they just wanted to let the knee kind of settle down and the swelling. So it took a while to get surgery. Healthy now, about 16, 17 months post-op.
That's so exciting. AFL isn't the sport that you've played for most of your life though. Basketball?
Yes. We actually played a bit together, Saraid.
We did. Do you remember when? What year that was, if I'm going to test
2017.
2017.
I reckon maybe 2016.
It is so funny how things work out like that. I remember when you first came into the club and being Melbourne, and I tried to introduce myself to you and you looked me dead in the eyes and you said, we've actually already met.
Yeah, I was like, how do you not remember me?
We know each other. And as you said that, I thought to myself, you're right. I do know you. I'm so sorry. We were development trading players.
Yeah, we didn't know each other too well, but...
We played against each other, I think, a little bit.
Yeah.
It's funny how sport kind of brings us all back together again eventually.
Yeah.
What age did you play, did you start playing basketball?
I started when I was probably 7 years old. I didn't really mean to start. It was more so domestic basketball at Waverley Basketball Stadium, playing for Melbourne Tigers, and I went to watch my older sister play and they needed a fill-in. So I just chucked on a uniform, played, really enjoyed it, and that's how I got started.
So funny. How have you found the transition from basketball to footy? Because you did do a bit of footy as a junior too.
Yeah.
And then chose basketball.
Yeah.
Where were you sitting with all that decision making? What was informing that process?
I wouldn't really say I chose basketball necessarily. I would say it was more push towards basketball because there was no women's team or girls team with
footy. At the professional level?
No, at the time growing up,
Oh, yeah.
there was no girls league. So it was more so basketball was the path I had to take, even though it probably wasn't my favourite sport at the time. It probably was footy.
What age are you talking?
That was probably around under 12s that I had to make that decision, which was pretty sad because as a kid, you're like, why can't I play?
Absolutely.
But yeah, followed basketball all the way through and loved it, still do love it. But I think I always knew I was going to come back to footy and it's always been a dream to play in the AFLW.
Take me back. You played elite basketball, so much so that you actually went internationally and played college in America. Where did you go? What was that process like? I can imagine it was pretty rough leaving family and friends and sort of starting life anew. Yeah,
it was tough. I think it was something that I probably saw that it was doable around the age of 15, 16, and that's sort of what I wanted to do. I went over there for 6 years, so I was 18 years old when I headed over there and lived in 4 different states. My first state was Texas. I was there for about 2 years. And then I went to University of Washington, was there for about just over a year, University of Montana, and then Northern Arizona University, so in Arizona. So yeah, 4 different states in 6 years.
Jeepers. Were they vastly different between the 4 programs and sort of
very
localities?
Yeah.
What kind of differences are we talking?
I would say state to state.
Yeah.
It's very different in the States, depending on where you live. Some was rural, some was city. In Texas, I lived like 5 hours from Dallas. So that was very rural, country, oil town. And then my next school was Seattle. So that was very much city. So yeah, it was very different place to place. But absolutely loved it. And the people there, were amazing.
Walk me through, you're 18, you land in a new country for the first time. How do you even begin to adjust? Like, where do you start? What's going through your head? Are you enjoying it pretty quickly, or does it take some time to get used to?
I would say I enjoyed it pretty quickly. I went to boarding school for a bit of my high schooling. So I think living with friends and teammates and all of that was pretty normal to me. Mum and dad flew over with me, so that probably helped them help me settle in and set up my room and whatnot. But yeah, it was just a crazy experience. I think in college though, being an international, they really take you in and they know that you're away from home, and especially when you're so young. I think they really do everything to make you feel at home and settled. And so I was very lucky in that sense that I was around such amazing people that made me feel welcome from day one.
We spoke briefly before about your ACL injury, like a pretty significant injury, but that's not the first time that you've had to overcome something like that, is it?
No, I had a hip operation in 2020.
So what age is that?
I would have been 20.
So you were 20.
Yeah. So it kind of started when I was 19 and sort of played out the season. And then, it was just before COVID hit, and COVID kind of pushed back a few of my hip appointments and surgeries. And so it was pretty frustrating. My parents tried to come over to help me through it, but they were denied by the Australian government at the time to fly over.
Because of COVID?
Yeah, because of COVID. And then, I was actually living with one of my assistant coaches at the time. She was helping me get through it. And she was a huge support system that, looking back, I don't know what I would have done without her. I would have been stuck in a dorm. Everyone had gone home, and I was like the international kid. I had one other teammate that was international from Australia too. It was me and her in the dorms together. I actually had a flight booked back to Australia before I had my hip surgery, and then cancelled it like the day before because I was like, no, I need to have the surgery here. I need to figure out what school I'm going to next, because it was a junior college. You could only be there 2 years maximum. I still had a lot of things to figure out, surgery to go through. It was a tough year, especially not having your parents through something so big. It was pretty brutal because it was a 12-month recovery.
That was going to be my next question. So it took 12 months to recover.
Yeah.
How was your mental health through that period?
It was hard. I think I was around like such amazing people. I think once I knew what school I had signed to next, that gave me a bit of ease knowing that. Because I think that was a big stressor of, before the surgery, I didn't know what school I was going to play at, who would take me, what player I would be after having a big operation like that. And then also during COVID, you couldn't go visit the schools because typically they do like a school visit, they host you for 48 hours. But in this case, no schools were really doing any visits. So that was really hard. You're committing to coaches and a school that you've never seen or met the coaches before. So you're kind of trusting everything off the phone. It all worked out in the end. I wouldn't take anything back, but it was definitely a hard time in my life. But I would say I'm grateful that it was during the COVID period because I didn't feel like I was missing out on too much. I think, there was a few games that were stopped. There was no fans in the stands for Seattle anyway, when I was at University of Washington. So, it was a bit of a different year, but it was hard to miss out and sit on the sidelines at your new school and not have your family there during that whole time.
So difficult. I feel like in terms of giving context of when you mentioned junior college and then transferring elsewhere, for people listening that potentially don't understand the politics of basketball or moving through how an Australian young basketball player even gets over to the college system, what was your personal journey like? Like, who was helping you in Australia get over there? What informed your decision to choose the college that you ended up going to, which is a junior college? Why would you then even want to leave a junior college to go somewhere else? How did that all plan out?
Well, for me, I was pretty lucky. I sort of thought, I need to get all my clips together. I need to message and email all these different colleges because I didn't really know what the process was. But one of the men's players, so I played at Waverley since I was a junior, and he played on the men's team, and he had actually played at Midland College in Texas. That's the college I went to. And he still had a connection with the head coach. So he got me in contact with him. Lauren Mansfield, who is a point guard that I really looked up to. She played at Midland. Lefty point guard, so pretty similar to me.
Very similar.
So yeah, it felt like a great fit. Got on the phone with the head coach, and yeah, he sort of saw the highlights and took a chance on me, which I was super grateful for. And honestly, I wasn't very good in high school, so my grades weren't great. So a junior college was the perfect stepping stone for me before going to a 4-year university. So a junior college was 2 years, and they're a bit more lenient on what your grades are in high school. So it was a perfect kind of, school for me.
When we speak about you being over there for 6 years, that's right, 6.
Yes.
How much of the new country sort of fuses with your identity, do you reckon? Like in terms of being an American and then coming home, was that an interesting transition for you? Jarring?
It was huge. I probably didn't think it was going to be a hard transition at all. Like I knew I'd miss my friends and my people in the States, but I didn't necessarily think me as a person would have a bit of an identity crisis a little bit coming back. So I think that was definitely a bit of a shock to me. Because you just go 6 years of building who you are, and I was over there for the ages of 18 to 24, where you're figuring out who you are sort of through those ages.
Crucial time.
Yeah, and then you sort of come back and, everything's different a little bit in a sense of, your friends are older, they all have adult jobs, they might not be living in Melbourne anymore. I wasn't living with my parents for 6 years, so then coming back to that environment. And then a new sport on top of it, that I didn't really know my identity in footy yet. I wasn't an AFLW player or anything like that. I hadn't played since I was a kid. Whereas as a basketballer, I knew who I was. I had that swagger about me.
Oh, goodness.
I had to. But
I'm not paying it. I'm not paying it. Anyone who says they have swagger, I think refute themselves.
But
no, you're groovy. You're a groovy basketballer.
Thank you. That is a compliment. That is a very big compliment. But yeah, no. So I think it was a big identity shift, even from fashion and what people wear over there to what they wear here. It's just different. Like the way people talk. Like I probably had a little twang to my accent. So
probably did. I probably still do. Which
do you reckon?
Do I reckon? That sounds pretty Australian, but I often reckon. Yeah. What do you think was the biggest difference between culture? Because I guess now you can sort of, after 6 years in the States and then now back in Australia, reference distinctions. Is it like when you say there's clothing difference, the way people talk, obviously the way people sounds different. What culturally as people, do you have any observations on that?
I would say there was a lot more diversity, especially in the basketball world over there, college, all different sports. You have people coming from all around the world. So I would say I was around a lot of diversity, which I loved. So I think that was a big thing coming back to Australia. And I would just say even the confidence that they have over there. And I don't know, I think I still wonder if it's a basketball to footy thing, if it's a sport thing, or if it's a culture thing. But there's just an aura and a confidence that my teammates had over there that I loved. And I think at the start, when I first got to the States, I was like, you guys are all cocky. You guys are so cocky. But then as the years went on, I was like, no, it's a swaggy confidence that they have. And they truly believe it. They back themselves. And it's actually quite an attractive trait. Whereas I think here, people aren't as much like that. Or they might be, but not show it. So I think that's something that I really took on board in the States, and I actually loved it. Walking on the court as an athlete, you have a bit of confidence about you. So I think, that's something that in footy that I would love to keep having, because I don't think it's a bad thing. But yeah.
Like it can be a bit fun.
Yeah.
It's more that you've put in the work, you've put in the work, and then the fun time is about to begin. Like you're able to sort of just play.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting point that it's hard to put a finger on whether it's like cross-country culture or cross-sport because the timeline was so sharp. How quick are we talking? Like you're one day in America as a basketballer, and then you're traveling back to your home country, starting a new sport. Walk us through how that even begins to happen.
Yeah, it was a crazy week, honestly. I remember like crying at the airport, leaving the States. Like I was, absolutely in tears. And then got off the plane and Sloaney and Bianca, so assistant coach and PDM.
Player development manager.
Literally standing at the international arrival gate waiting for me with my parents, which was so sweet.
Sweet.
It was a surprise. I had no idea they were going to be there, but it was a lovely surprise. But I think that's when I was like, this is real. Like, wow, like I'm playing for Melbourne, AFLW, like my dream has come true. And then I think maybe I think the next day I went to the club, said hello to the girls. I was on a bit of a high, so like it was very fun. I was nervous.
You met me.
Yeah, met you.
We'd already met each other, but you met me again.
Yes, I know. And then getting shown around the facilities, it was all very cool. And then I think, 48 hours from landing, I was on camp. Like I think it was 2 nights or 3 nights, maybe
footy
2.
Camp. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, footy
camping
camp.
in a tent, literally camping
With 2 teammates that felt like randoms. But
strangers.
Yeah. But yeah, it was just a crazy whirlwind, honestly. Even on camp, I remember there's so many people. Like I'm used to a team of 12 to 14 girls to being around like 30 girls. And I'm like, you guys are all my teammates. Like couldn't remember anyone's names. There's a nickname to go with every single player. But yeah, it was a big whirlwind. But I am glad that I jumped straight into it rather than having a bit of a break. It was nice.
Jump us back even further though. So you landed us at the airport coming back to Australia. But how did your passage coming back even eventuate? Like how did you get back involved with footy in the first place, have a contract waiting for you when you arrived back in the country?
Yeah, I feel like I was very lucky in my circumstance. Todd Patterson, was the list manager at the time at Melbourne, he came and watched me play a basketball game.
At what age do you reckon?
I reckon I would have been 17 or 18. He came to Waverley, watched a women's game. I probably wasn't getting too much court time. But one of the players that played at Waverley at the time, he was watching her because she played at Melbourne. And I think after the game, he sort of went up to her and was just sort of like, hey, like, do you think that girl, Grace, like, do you think she would be pretty good at footy? And my teammate at the time just said, yeah, like, she played when she was younger with the boys. Like, yeah, she knows a bit about footy. And so anyways, for my 6 years in the States, he kept in contact with me, like messages, keeping up with games. I felt bad though, because I reckon maybe for 4 or 5 years, he was like, whenever I'd come home and post that I was home, he'd be like, hey, let's go for a coffee, let's go for a kick. And I was like, nah. Because in the back of my mind, I was still thinking I was going to go to Europe and play basketball post-college. But he was very much like, let's catch up. Like, and so I put it off until the last year. And so the last year that I came home, I was like, all right, I'm going to meet up with you and let's go for a kick, see how it goes. So that's sort of what happened. But yeah, like very thankful that Todd kept in contact with me for so many years that he did, because he came to a basketball game.
All those years ago.
Yeah.
What makes you choose football instead of going to try to make a career in Europe as a basketballer?
I think, yeah, it honestly was a hard decision. I think I just felt so exhausted from college. College is very full on. It's, 6 days a week, hours and hours of training plus school. Yeah, it was definitely full on. I had a few injuries in my last year, just ankle stuff that, put me out for quite a bit of the season. So I think I was just ready for a bit of a break. I think also family is super important to me. So knowing that, you know, my nan's getting a bit older, missing out on weddings and family events, even just family dinners for 6 years, it was hard. I think I was a bit fed up with that, wanted to be a part of it. So yeah, that was very important for me to come home, have a break. And the goal was to not give up basketball, but do footy, get my foot in the door with AFLW, see how I go, see if I enjoy it, and sort of still keep my basketball as well in Australia. And then if it's meant to be, head over to Europe.
Exciting. It's pretty amazing when you think about that journey, sort of how many years you've spent away and then coming back, how quickly you did adjust. What do you think was your favourite part of being a basketballer? And I'm not using that as a past tense because, as you say, it's sort of open. And then what's your favourite part of being a footballer?
I think as a basketballer, just like how creative the game is. I think, yeah, I love how creative you can be with the game. I don't know, I think as a point guard, I loved facilitating. That's sort of something I really enjoyed doing. I think I was also very lucky to be on such amazing teams in the States, winning teams. So it was very fun to play. And then, yeah, footy-wise, I think I love the learning of it. I think, yeah, asking lots of questions and very grateful to be on such a successful team in my first few years of my AFLW career. So I think absorbing all the knowledge I possibly can from everyone on the team, but especially the midfield players. Like, yeah, I think I've already learnt so much, but I feel very grateful for who I'm around and to learn off them every session.
It is interesting because as much as people talk about transferable skills between the two codes, they are still very different. And I'd agree that basketball is super creative. There's also like a level of restraint, I think, sometimes. Like I grew up, the clubs that I played in was always quite rigid in the skill execution. Like it was always very specific. Coming to football, there's such a different level of freedom. Your body has a different role to play or a different, I guess, capacity to be able to win.
Yeah.
It's fascinating trying to adapt. I think I still find myself slip a little bit into the basketball mindset of things needing to have an answer, whereas footy, it's like you might have 7 different options and any of them could be an answer.
Yeah.
Have you found that interesting from a point of view of like the sport itself?
I think it's interesting because I think it's very, like, as you say, based on coaches, like what coach you have as well. Like I was very lucky in my last few years. Like my coaches were very much like...
Is this at basketball?
Yeah, in basketball, go do your thing. So that's probably where the creativity comes into it. Obviously, there's a few times you try to get too creative and they're like, no.
Wind it back a little bit. Wind it back.
Yeah. But I would say, yeah, like with basketball, as a point guard, you're like 0 turnovers. Like if I have 4 or 5 turnovers, like at the end of a game, I'm probably not too happy. And that,
bad game, terrible game.
Well, that was such an adjustment coming to footy because I remember every time I would fumble or like miss a handball or something, I was like, that's a turnover. That's a turnover. And then it was just ridiculous. There was way too many turnovers to count. So it was shifting that mindset of like footy's kind of a game of mistakes. And I remember Vinny like saying to me, Vinny, the assistant coach, in film one time, I remember he just like was like, Grace, you need to chill out. Like footy's a game of mistakes. It's just kind of who makes the least amount of mistakes. And I was like, wow, like that's an interesting way to put it. But I think coming from a basketball mindset, especially being a point guard where you're meant to look after the ball, to then going to footy, like, yeah, I don't know. You need to shift the mindset. Otherwise, yeah, it was kind of driving me crazy a little bit.
Otherwise, you feel like you're constantly failing.
Yeah, 100%.
I've heard people talk, like have interesting discussions around that. Basketball constantly striving for perfection, like even from a really young age, drilled into us that anything less than perfection is not good enough.
Yeah.
And then footy, the shift in mentality of good is good.
Yeah.
Like good's actually really, really good. And I feel like that allowed me to see myself as a player and as an athlete differently. I still lean towards wanting to get to like a very sort of exceptional level. Good doesn't feel like enough.
Yeah.
But I still feel like it's expanded me in a way that I might not have had if I had only played one sport.
Yeah.
Is there something that you feel like you've learned about yourself, or what is the thing that you've learned about yourself the most transitioning from sport to sport back to sport?
The thing I've learnt the most, I would say on the camp that I was with Melbourne, like within the first 48 hours, I'll never forget the conversation I had with Kate Hoare, the captain. And she was just saying, because she used to be a basketballer as well. And so we were talking about basketball as a sport. And with basketball, you can have one player take over a game and like they can go off for 40 points and carry the team to a win. But in footy, you can't. Like, I remember she said, you can't just get the rebound, dribble down the court, score a layup and your team's set. Like, you've just put them on your back. In footy, you can't go the whole length of the field without using any of your teammates. So I'd say that's probably one of the biggest things that I've loved, but I've also learnt along the way is like footy is so team oriented and like you all need to be on the same page. Like there's not one or two people that are just going to carry the team or the standards. Like it's everyone that needs to be on the same page.
How have you adjusted to the physicality? Did it feel like a shock? For the people listening, a wry smile just crawled across Grace Beasley's face. Still adjusting?
Yeah, I would say, I don't know, like in certain parts I still am adjusting. Like even being able to hit someone, like it feels so wrong. Like just to be able to like full do that to someone. But I don't know, I think I'm slowly getting used to it. Like going up against like, I don't know, Kate in the midfield, like you have to hold your ground. Like you can't go easy, you can't go 50%, because her hitting you is definitely, you feel it. Like I explain it as a truck in the nicest way possible. In the most, like, it's like a truck hitting you.
In the most like skilled, just finessed way possible.
Yeah, she makes it look easy. But like, I don't know, I've learnt so much from her and the physicality is different, but I also love it. I think growing up probably with a brother, that probably helps as well.
I don't know. My sister was pretty violent growing up.
Really?
Growing up. I grew up with a sister and a brother. Let me tell you, our wrestling was out of this world.
Yeah.
Do you think, this is a really neat segue from me, really, really smooth. Do you think it's important for little girls to play sport or for women to play sport?
100%. Yeah, I think.
Why?
I think so
Pitch
many.
me.
I think so many different reasons. I actually coached under 12s basketball right before I left to the States, and literally the best thing ever. But some of most of those girls don't even play anymore. But I just like the connections that they made on court, off court. It was amazing. Like they were all friends. They've all come from different schools. And they've just bonded over basketball, whether they love it or not, but they've come together socially. The parents become friends. They start hanging out outside of. It was just cute, like team dinners, things like that. I think you create connections with people that maybe you wouldn't create connections with. It gives you a wider perspective on life. But yeah, I think it's important for everyone, girl, boy, doesn't matter, anyone and everyone to play sport growing up, whether they love it or not, but especially team sports, I would say, because it teaches you so many communication skills, sharing skills, having a bit of drive, a bit of motivation and routine and things like that. So I think it's definitely important from a young age. And if you follow it all the way through, cool. But if you don't, then yeah.
Still getting something out of it.
Yeah, 100%.
When you talk about like the motivation drive, you've gone through quite significant injuries. Like we've spoken about the ACL, we've also spoken about the hip being 12 months, like 12-month recovery. What keeps you going? Like what part of it in you has that level of ambition and I guess resilience?
Yeah.
Where does that come from?
I would say like it's hard. Like when you're going through the rehab, it fluctuates so much. Being out of rehab, like you absolutely love it. Like you love what you do, everything. You almost forget all the hard times you've been through, but you need to reflect and understand that that's what's got you here. But I would just say knowing how much I love it, and I am such a sport lover that I don't know what I would do without sport. I've always, since I was little, known that I wanted to be an athlete for as long as I possibly can until my body says no or the mind says no. But yeah, I would just say the drive of like, I just feel like there's still so much more to achieve and so much more that I can experience and get out of my body. And yeah, I feel like I'm only scratching the surface so far. So I think that's definitely a motivating factor for me. And just knowing that injuries happen, it's part of sport, it's unfortunate, but it does happen. And yeah, I just have too many goals in mind to give up now. It just wouldn't feel right.
There'd be some people in your position after those experiences that have a bit of a victim mentality. What prevents you from falling into self-pity?
I think, yeah, that's a good question.
Thank you so much. I came up with it all on my own.
No, that's a great question. Because I would say there was times during my rehab where you do fall into the victim of why me? Why is this happening to me? But I think, yeah, looking back, you put it into perspective. And like I said before, injuries do just happen. Like there's nothing I could have done that day to prevent what happened to my knee. And I know that, even though at the time I was thinking all those things, like what are the little 1%ers that I did different that day? But at the end of the day,
accountable.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, there's nothing. Like you just can't help something like that sometimes. But yeah, I just think it takes more energy to be in the victim mindset, and I probably learnt that during my rehab. Like that takes so much more energy. It's a lot more negative mindset than rather like focusing on the positive, what's to come. Look how far you've come, rather than being like, why aren't I further than where I am? So yeah, I think I just tried to focus on more so where I was at and where I'm going. Whereas during my rehab, there was times where I was stuck in, why am I here and why aren't I here? So yeah, I think it's a bit of a roller coaster of emotions during the rehab time. But now looking back, I feel strong, I feel ready. I feel grateful to be in the spot that I am, have the people around me that I did have to take me through rehab. Some people don't have the medical facilities, the recovery stuff, surgeries paid for. So yeah, it's hard to not be grateful to be in a position like this. Yeah, so I don't know. I think also everything happens for a reason. Yeah.
What do you think the reason has been? Have you found one for the injuries you've had?
I would say with my knee, honestly, coming back from the States and having a bit of injuries from my last season in the States and then coming to AFLW and doing my knee after round 3, so very early on in the season, yeah, it was hard to find any reasoning. But I would say, look, transitioning to a new sport, you're new to the league, different surface, different shoes, boots, everything. There's probably so many little things. I would say that I've maybe found reasoning in myself, and yeah, probably helped with finding my identity here in Australia, because I was probably lost for quite a bit of time coming back from the States to Australia on who I was and what my new identity was here. So I think that rehab really helped me find my feet a little bit more in Australia and figure out what I like and start my own business on the side, which maybe I wouldn't have done if everything was flying and going really well. It gave me more time to focus on that and distract myself from sport a little bit.
Who's been the biggest impact on your career, do you think?
Biggest impact on my career? I would probably say my assistant coach in the States from Texas, the one that looked after me during my hip rehab, Ginger Gatliff. Very American name.
Shout out to Ginger Gatliff.
Shout out Gigi. But yeah, she was a huge part. Just always had my back, always like the world was my oyster, and backed me every day of the week to go as far as I could with basketball. And yeah, with my hip operation, like I said, like she was there for me every day. Wouldn't have been able to honestly probably get through the rehab and recovery without her. So yeah, I don't think I could ever be more appreciative of someone and what they've done for me in my career. And she's never seen me play footy. I'm sure she'll come to Australia one day and watch me, which would be really cool. But yeah, I think she's just been huge, and she always backs me as an athlete and as a footy player. And yeah, I think she just thinks the world of me, and I really appreciate her because she gives me a lot of confidence in my ability.
So cute. I'm just going to say quickly, just in case this runs out, because I think it's going to. I think that is all we have time for today, Grace. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
This has been Perceived Pressure. Grace Beasley, thanks a lot.